Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. The war in Ukraine grinds on. In the Kursk region, Russian troops have managed to advance to the village of Guyevo, which remained under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces following the retreat from Sudzha, and even consolidated their position there. However, the battle for the settlement continues. The Russian military is being hampered by a high concentration of qualified UAV crews, as well as the actions of Ukrainian special forces in the vicinity of the village. Ukrainian troops are continuously hitting Russian equipment in the region with drone attacks. Meanwhile, the American Institute for the Study of War has recorded a slowdown in the pace of Russian troop advancement in Ukraine. According to the institute, the pace of Russian advances in the country has been steadily declining since November 2024, in part due to successful Ukrainian counterattacks in eastern Ukraine. The authors of the report cite, in particular, the announcement by the British Defense Ministry from the 5th of April that Russian troops had advanced into Ukrainian territory by only 143 square kilometers in March 2025. This total pales in comparison to gains of 730 square kilometers in November 2024. Now, moving on to the Middle East. Israeli airstrikes have killed more than 30 people in Khan Yunis outside the Nasser hospital, which was being used as a base by a number of journalists. On Sunday night, the Israeli military ordered Palestinians to evacuate several neighborhoods in Gaza shortly after approximately 10 projectiles were fired from the strip. Israeli forces claim that around 5 objects were intercepted and that Hamas claimed responsibility. Meanwhile, Israeli police reported that a rocket fell in Ashkelon, an Israeli city to the north of Gaza. Fragments from the rocket also fell in several other areas. Now, in this piece of archival footage from the Kursk region, we can see a very strange situation. Russian forces have stolen a goose from the yard of a private house and are dragging it on bicycles back to their positions. Meanwhile, fighters from the Russian Akhmat unit continue to take an active part in raids near Avdiivka and Marinka. They have recently been redeployed to reinforce Russian operations towards Donetsk, where, according to Ukrainian military reports, they are being used mainly to guard the rear of the front line and confront Russian soldiers should they wish to withdraw. That indeed is a rather unusual situation when it comes to requisitioning equipment, or should we say livestock, perhaps. Still wondering what the military purpose of that might have been. Anyway, moving on. The famous Magyar birds strike again, sending a message to their enemy: there is no place to hide. And this clip is just from the beginning of the year. By now, the Ukrainian brigade has multiplied its daily tally of confirmed hits many times over, turning every day into a nightmare for the Russian occupiers. An archival video from Toretsk captures the dramatic moments faced by the soldiers of the Ukrainian Lugansk Assault Regiment of the National Police Brigade Lyut. During a routine rotation from their positions, an M113 armored personnel carrier transporting troops hit a minefield laid by Russian forces. That moment turned critical for the entire unit as the fighters found themselves deep in enemy territory where every passing second could have been their last. Surrounded and under constant fire, these men kept their composure. Without panic, they quickly regrouped, assessed the situation, and provided aid to their wounded comrades. Fighting their way through relentless enemy attacks, the brigade's warriors broke out of the encirclement and reached neighboring positions, showing extraordinary resilience and determination.
Скажи сразу, мне может придется либо отставать, либо тащить. Сюда! Пацаны, у нас все на месте? Турникет какой есть? Выше, максимально высоко наклон. Пацаны, я откажу. Я откажу. Хто може подивитися, що з рукою, може затампонувати, або бандаж просто. Скажи сразу, мені хуй придеться мене либо отставать, либо тащить.
And looking at footage like that, it is pretty much evident that Ukraine has one of the most determined, one of the most experienced and battle-hardened fighting forces in Europe, if not the world right now. It would actually make a perfect addition to NATO, and even though some politicians are now giving up on that idea, it still remains a fact. NATO with Ukraine would be an alliance hardly anyone would even dare challenge. Food for thought. With this, we're ending this episode of Military Mind. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.